Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy SNKRLOG checking back in with a new episode of Sneaker Talk. Before I get into it, I want to wish everyone a happy new year. Hopefully everyone had fun safely, and was able to bring in the new year, on a happy note. And, let's just get ready for 2018, because 2018 there's going to be a lot of changes. I'm sure everyone is aware or have heard of and I'm talking about Jordan Brand. Jordan Brand put out a statement. I think they held a conference like a couple weeks ago, and a lot of the things that were taken away, the major thing that was taken away from that conference or whatever that they put out, was that basically I feel that the brand thinks that, they came up short in 2017 as far as sales and their brand, how people are receiving the brand now. If you remember, about a couple years ago, they came out with this whole new campaign they were rolling out, and it was called the Remastered, I guess they were calling it a program, Remastered program or something like that. Basically, they were taking shoes from the past and they were bringing them out in a better quality. The whole idea was supposed to be more true to the original, so you saw more quote-unquote OG pairs. You saw that tag on a lot of more, retros than we had seen in the past, and you saw more fluent. I want to say, I didn't really count how many pairs they actually did it with, but there was a wide amount, more than we had seen in the past. And one of the things that I noticed with that was the availability of the shoes, like the quantities of the shoes. Like, the quality was decent quality. It was definitely an upgrade from what we were getting. And I don't care what anyone says, because there's just people who will, they will talk down on any release. Like, they never are satisfied. So I'm not really talking to those people. But if you ask me personally, my opinion, there was an improvement as far as the quality of the shoes with the retros that they were putting out compared to just a few years prior, within that time frame. Like, if you go from the early 2010s, there were a lot of the retros that they were putting out, the quality was just not there. The demand was there for the shoe, so the shoe was selling out because of the limited, I don't even want to really call it limited, but the quantities that they were putting out was less than the demand of the shoe. So if you understand that concept, I'm not really going to get into it too much, but if you just read into that context that I put it into, the quantity of the shoes that they were putting out before was not reaching the demand of the consumer. But so the shoe was selling out, but that didn't mean that the quality was actually on point like it was supposed to be. So they rolled out this campaign. I want to say it's been about 2 years now, something like that. So they rolled out that campaign. I think now they've sat back and been able to reflect on what has happened. But unfortunately, in that same time frame, Adidas has stepped up Adidas they were always around, but they've stepped it up as a major player in this whole sneaker game. Before, it was just dominated by Nike. Nike was dominating the whole, the sneaker as far as like with the prices. Adidas was always around putting stuff out and stuff like that, but they weren't, in my opinion, as far as if you look at the business side, sure, they probably had endorsement deals and, stuff like that. Like, they had players they had athletes and that were sponsored, that were, what do you call that when someone, like an ambassador for the brand, they were sponsoring athletes. They've always been doing that, but they weren't, as far as like people really, really going like highly sought after shoes from Adidas. There wasn't that until, in my opinion, until they signed Kanye West. and Kanye West started making shoes over there. And within these past couple years, and this is something that, you're not going to hear any top executive at a major corporation say, but let me be the one to tell you, if you think that a company, a business company, in this day and age, especially in the sneaker game, if you think that they don't have their eyes on every market of their product, including the resale market, or if you want to call it the aftermarket of their product, then you are sadly mistaken. They're not going to say this in any of their, addresses or any of their what do you call it? Their I'm having a loss for words. Their conferences. They're not going to say it at any of their conferences or anything like that, because the whole idea is that they want people to believe that they're cracking down on that. But here's the reality of it. They can't crack down on the reseller, because all that they can attempt to do, which they did, they drove up prices in attempts, because they thought that people, okay, if someone's going to pay, if they put out a sneaker for, let's go with the number of, because, retros used to be like an average of like 160 at one point, 160, 170. 150, 160, 170. Those used to be the prices for retros. And then you'd get some lesser ones probably at like 140. That was like the averages. So let's just say that if you see there's someone who is selling your product that you're marking them at like 150, 160, 170, and you see there's a market for your product that is double the price that you sold it for, and someone's going to turn around and profit double off of it, eventually you're going to be like, hold on. I'm losing money. I'm not losing money in the fact that we know that it's common knowledge that they don't really pay too much as far as cost to make the shoe, but they're losing profit if there is a market for the shoe that is higher than what they've set their price at. So what they decided to do was to drive up the price. They didn't go too crazy. They marked it up, a little bit more to be fair. And they made more quantities of the shoe. So, the shoes weren't as, I won't call it like they were like super limited. There were releases that were limited, but a general release, there just wasn't enough quantities to meet the demand for a lot of sneakers in the past. So they made more sneakers. You know what I'm saying? They produced more, put them out. At first, it looked like, there's just more sneakers. That's cool. People were still buying, but after a while, people caught on and saw that, there's just a lot more sneakers now. I don't have to go out and, get every release now. And because I don't have to worry about the resellers, because there's just so many shoes. There's so many available. I can actually get them like a normal consumer and get them when I need them, vice just when this company decides to bring them out and then I'm a slave and I have to go spend my money to go get it. I can actually buy something. I can actually have spending power and buy something when I want it, a product. And, reseller market it took a huge hit as far as pertaining to Jordan brands. So what resellers started to do was focus their attention to other stuff. And that's where sneaker collaborations became more, those became the ones that people, as far as resellers, started to gear towards with more, and limited releases. Definitely Adidas stepped in there big time with the Kanye, with the Yeezy Boost and pretty much anything that Kanye was putting out. If you look at it, I saw the numbers, I saw the figures that were put out by this person, and they said that about 3 years ago, the the resale market was dominated by Jordan brand pretty much. I think it was 96% they said, and Adidas was like at 1%. Within just a couple years, Adidas has bumped all the way up to 45% of the resale market. If you think that Nike and Jordan brand are not in tune with that, haven't learned that, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken. And you better believe that had a lot to do with why in their recent statement they came out and they said that in 2018 they are definitely changing things up. And what they're doing is limiting the quantities of that. Basically what they're saying that they have to what they said was they had to protect they had to protect the brand, and certain like iconic shoes that they believe will be, they said they got to protect the exclusivity of certain iconic shoes, Jordan shoes. So what that means is whatever they determine as iconic, they use the word iconic, but basically the favorites of the sneakerheads, those will become the more limited releases. And that is basically what's going to happen. It's not going to be as easy as now where you can just walk in the store and probably snag up a release from a couple months ago and a dope shoe, And I think that's kind of where Nike is getting it wrong, because sure, they are, there's people who are not going and grabbing every release like they used to. But a lot of those people were resellers. They were just reselling the shoe. They were, trying to build up an inventory so they can have shoes on deck to sell marked above retail. Now, basically, when you say you're going to do this, because I don't think you're going to hike the price up on top of that, because then you definitely would be cornering the reseller out pretty much almost completely if you do that. Or maybe not, because there might be some people who are just willing to pay anything for a pair of shoes, and that would be just a blatant definition, of greed on the company's part if they were to do that. But with this, I think is more so a lot to do with the pride. You hear people, making fun of Jordan brand, saying that they fell off, this, that, and that. Which they didn't fall off. That's why I don't believe you can always gauge the temperature of the climate by just social media alone, because social media, for the most part, is what it's meant to be, as far as like somewhere where you can get access to a lot of information. You can talk to people, and you can just find out stuff very, very quickly on social media. Like, news spreads fast on social media. But the thing about social media is there's a lot of trolls. There's a lot of people who have issues, and there's a lot of negative energy on social media alone. So if you can't just gauge the temperature alone from social media. So when you hear people say that, oh, Jordan brand, how could they fall off? I mean, just because the shoes are limited, not as limited as before, they fell off. They're not selling out. And I think that's the mindset of a lot of people. But let me know down in the comment box. Let me know what you think about the forecasted limited quantity that Jordan brand is supposed to be releasing in 2018 with certain releases. It's going to get a little crazier, and I think that all we can do at this point is, I guess, blame ourselves for, the negative comments and, the conversation that has been surrounded around Jordan brand, especially for over the last year or so. But I appreciate the listen. Like I said, leave me the comment down in the comment box. Until next time, y'all be cool. Stay up. Peace.